I'm Alexandra Nikelski, and we're sitting here with Brian Wegman, the CEO of NuCara, Bonnie Sadler, the VP of Business Development, and TJ Johnsworth, the president and founder of NuCara. Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming so far.
And would you mind telling me a little bit about how you each got involved with NuCara and how you got started with the company?
Well, actually, it was pretty easy for me since I started the company, but I had always wanted to have my own practice, and I was in Cedar Rapids at the time, and I had a friend of mine, or a colleague, that had a dad knew a physician in Conrad, and he suggested I go talk to that clinic, and I did. And they had 3 physicians, no pharmacy, and we talked a lot about what pharmacy could bring to the community in terms of care, medication management, and things like that. And so they then informed me that if I would come and start the pharmacy, that they would support me. So that's how the pharmacy started in Conrad.
And this was 1973?
1973, and that really is, NuCara can be traced back to that particular pharmacy in 1973.
Fantastic. And Bonnie, how did you get involved and when?
Well, I've worked most of my career in healthcare, but I finished as a non-traditional student. I finished my bachelor's degree in marketing, and actually found out about NuCara actually through an ad in the paper. And so I was the first sales and marketing person with the company. So that was almost 20 years ago.
When I got started, my mom thought I needed a job. This company, NuCara, at the time was called Pharmacy Associates, had bought the pharmacy in our town, and I was hired to kind of be an after-school clerk, learned how to run the cash register, tear down boxes, clean toilets, all the fun stuff, and walk deliveries. So, and I was able to do that, and then when I went off to college, I learned they had a pharmacy where I went to school at, and so I learned to be a pharmacy technician there while I was working my way through college. And then after that, they were kind enough to hire me on as a assistant director of the operations. And I always tell people, I tell TJ, he's been very good to me, but through attrition, I've kind of waited everybody out and been able to move up the ranks.
So NuCara began as a small mom and pop pharmacy in Conrad, Iowa in 1973. What led to the idea of creating a network of pharmacies?
Those sorts of things happen through relationships. And it was about the time that I started the Conrad Pharmacy, another pharmacy was being started in a community nearby. And so it seemed logical that we would start doing some things together. And then yet another pharmacy from Story City, was the same story repeated. And the 3 of us then, at some point, I think it was around 1990, decided we could be stronger and offer more services if we actually joined business-wise, and so we did. And then it is a matter of, here again, building relationships. And as time wore on, other pharmacists, independents mostly, would call us and want to know if they could become part of what we were trying to do, and to be very innovative in patient services in small communities. In other words, bringing the kinds of services to small communities that normally would not be available to them. And so it just kind of blossomed from there. And so I think that at one point in time, what really sort of fueled all this was when a regional wholesaler come to us, and we talked to them about did they have independent pharmacies that could use some of our management services. And through that whole process and building those relationships, that really took us to other states, because they were servicing the upper Midwest. And all of a sudden we were in North Dakota and Minnesota and states like that, doing the same thing. In other words, bringing innovative patient-directed care services to these communities. You really have to develop a culture. The company culture is extremely important. And it's, because I always say we have, I don't know, close to 500 employees, but they don't all drive into the same parking lot and walk into the same building. They're scattered around 5 states. So you have all these pockets of people. And so you really have to make sure that people in those communities and in those locations embody the same culture of patient care. There are going to be different personalities. There's going to be different types of people, or different backgrounds, you might say, but the culture can still be the same, and that's what we work hard at.
Absolutely. So where do you see yourself in 5, 10, maybe more years with NuCara?
Yeah, I think with healthcare, there's a lot of uncertainty out there right now. I think that's part of the challenge that we have within our healthcare arena in this country is we know we've got a huge amount of they call them the baby boomers that are turning 65 every day. And our healthcare, the demands on our healthcare system are going to skyrocket over the next 10 to 20, 30 years. And I'm not sure, I don't think we as a country have figured out how we're going to treat those patients and or pay for those patients, pay for that care. And I think that's what we're trying to figure out now. And again, that's why I'm so excited about NuCara and the direction that we're going. We're looking to say, in an ambulatory setting, how can we take care of patients? We want to take care of them in their home. Wherever and whenever possible, we want to deliver their care to their home. Because oftentimes I think studies have shown patients tend to recover better when they're in their home. Most often, not always, there's always exceptions, but most often they'll recover better when they're in their home. Their attitude is a lot better. So if you look at us as a company and what we've built out over the last, really focused on the last 5 to 10 years, is adding services that we can deliver from our core platform of pharmacy to patients in their home. The non-medical home assistance, starting right when they need any kind of assistance at all, bring them all the way to the minute that they need help with making sure that they're taking their medications correctly. Our pharmacists can package the medications in a system that helps them remember to take it and verifies that they're taking it. All the way to if they go to the doctor or hospital and they come home in a wheelchair, we can get them from the hospital with our transportation services. We can get them back in their home with our home modification services of building ramps, looking at how are they going to live in their house in a wheelchair. We can do all of that. We can assess the patient, do the modifications that are necessary, provide the equipment that's necessary for them to successfully live at their home. And I think that's going to become a very important part of our delivery of healthcare in this country in the next 10, 20, 30 years. I think we're in a very interesting time right now because there's so much uncertainty. It's kind of scary for a lot of people. Everybody in healthcare is a little nervous about what direction are we going to go? How are we going to? But the one thing I always tell everybody is I know that the demand for our services is going to be great. For what we do, for what everybody in healthcare does, the demand for our services is going to be great. How we get paid and who pays us, I don't know.
So NuCara is venturing back into long-term care pharmacy. Could you explain to us why you had left and why you're deciding to come back to that?
Well, rolling back the clock 15, 20 years, we did take care of long-term care facilities. And with the same culture, the same philosophy of offering top-notch service to their patients and to the homes, because that's a very complex business in the sense that these patients they're stationary. So you have to take everything to them. So it's a different kind of a philosophy. But at any rate, we did a good enough job that we cared about these people, that we kept adding homes and adding homes. We became a substantial provider in the Iowa market at that time. And so then some economic conditions changed about 2006, right in there, where it became very difficult for us to continue that same level of service and economically survive in that particular marketplace. So we sold that division off to a national provider, and then we refocused back on our core, which was ambulatory pharmacy, individual patient, as they took care of them as they came by the pharmacy and stuff. So anyway, it turned out just recently we were contacted that the marketplace has changed back again, and that would we consider going back into long-term care. And we did our research on it. We decided, yes, that we could do that. And so as of September of this year, NuCara has created a long-term care pharmacy division.
Well, congratulations. I want to know, in your mind, what sets you apart from big box pharmacies?
I would probably say our customer service. We do spend a lot of time on the phone. So if you ever hear any of our technicians, clerks in our stores, they are the most patient and customer friendly that they can be, in so much patience and willingness to help. In our smaller stores, they definitely know their pharmacists. Patients know their pharmacists. There's not a long wait time. So I think it's just taking care of people individually.
And so that leads me finally to your tagline, which is passionately committed. And I can tell just by speaking with you three today that you are very much passionately committed. If you could describe why that's your tagline for NuCara. and what that means to you.
Well, I think you can see we don't do anything halfway. If we're in it, we're in it. We're passionate about it, and we're going to make it the best it can be. Whether it's our respiratory therapists, our pharmacy technicians, our infusion nurses, we're in it, and we do the best that we can do.
When we first started introducing that tagline, we actually had our technicians and our staff wearing buttons that said passionately committed, because we wanted people to ask the question, well, what does that mean, or what for? And I think the reason is because we've got to be passionately committed not only to, obviously, to our patients, but our own employees, to our communities, and to our profession. And so we're passionately committed to all of that. And I think through that, that's going to be what sustains and helps NuCara continue to thrive and grow well into the future.
Absolutely. Well, I would love to thank you for having this conversation with me today and telling me about the history and future of NuCara. Thank you so much. You absolutely are passionately committed, and it was so wonderful to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.